Follow the Lord with all of your heart. I started reading a book that Sarah Lynn's aunt gave me when I was in Texas, and it's called God Work by Randy Harris. It is an awesome book. I'm a quarter of the way through it. But everything I've read so far, man, it is a great book. And this guy is a great lover of God and a great lover of the Word. And he talks about following Christ in here. And he talks about the importance of good doctrine. And Paul hits on this as he's going through Galatians. If I can get to it. In Galatians chapter 5, where we were reading, he says, the only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. You were running a good race. Who cut in on you and kept you from obeying the truth? In his book, God Work, Randy Harris hits that idea of our doctrine and the importance of it. And guys, we live in a culture that wants to say, doctrine doesn't matter. It's not important. You believe what you want to believe. I believe in the spirits. I believe in crystals. I believe in the Hindu gods and goddesses, all 3 million of them. And that's okay. That is what our culture is saying to us. But God says differently. And in this book, he says, doctrine matters because it is what establishes our faith. If we lose Christ, it's not a whole faith. If we lose the death and resurrection of Christ, we miss it. And he says, I begin with a principle that doctrine matters. Perhaps you're to my theological left. Perhaps you are to my theological right. But for all of us, doctrine matters. I resist the notion that if you have good attitudes and are a loving group of people, then it doesn't matter what you believe. Doctrine is the rudder that steers the ship. Doctrine matters. And Paul is saying, what happened? I came, I shared the good news. You were living out your faith. What happened? Why are you guys worried about circumcision all of a sudden? Why are you guys worried about this stuff that doesn't matter? You've been saved by grace. Who cut in on you? And as I was thinking about that, I thought about this last summer. Guys, for any of you that know me very well, you know that I am not a runner. Do I look like a runner? No. But my wife got really excited about running the Butte to Butte. And she started training. And I was sitting there watching this going, I want to do that. But I'm not a runner. I mean, you guys, it makes me laugh. If you would have seen me in middle school, I was the very last person to come in when we ran. Me and one of my other buddies. Because half the time we were just walking. Because I don't run. I remember one time we started running. And it was like, I don't know, 2 miles. Something silly. But it wasn't silly for me. And I'm running and it's been 10 minutes. It's been probably 15 minutes. Quite honestly, it's probably been like half an hour. And it starts pouring down rain. And guys, the rain in Texas is not like the rain in Oregon most of the time. When it rains, it pours. It comes down. There are times, many times, when I have had to pull over on the side of the highway because it is raining so hard, you cannot see in front of yourself well enough to drive. And so I'm running and I'm drenched and I'm soaked and I'm like, who cares? I hate running. And my coach comes and picks me up. He's like, get in the back of the truck. I thought you'd been washed away. You're taking so long. I am not a runner. But I started training because I was excited, because my wife was excited. I thought it'd be fun to try to beat her. I didn't get close. But I started running, and I started liking it. It was weird. Started liking it and started running and enjoying it. I'm slow. I know I'm slow. It comes the day of the race, and I am nervous more than you can even imagine. I think I went to the bathroom 4 or 5 times before the start of the race. My stomach was in knots. I almost puked. I saw other people puking around me, and I was thankful that I was not the only one. And we start to line up, and there was a group of us. And they're like, hey, let's get up here with the 10-minute milers. And I'm like, no way. Let's get back to the 14-minute milers. I'm like, I'm just going to make my way to the very back. Because I knew that I couldn't run at that same pace. And I was nervous. And the gun goes off, and we start running. And the first mile of this race is uphill. Now, guys, I had one goal in this race. Don't walk. Don't walk. I don't want to walk. I know I'm not going to make some great, amazing time. I know all this stuff. I'm thankful that I've been able to run 3 or 4 miles and not pass out and die on the side of the road. God, please help me not walk. And we start running the first mile, and my wife flies by, and my father-in-law flies by, and Joel flies by, and everybody's gone. I knew it was going to happen. It was okay. I was thankful they were gone because I was less embarrassed. And so I'm trucking along, and I have ladies with strollers passing me up there. I am not kidding. I have little kids passing me. But I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm out of breath, and I'm straining, and I'm struggling. But I'm like, I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to walk. And all of a sudden it happened. Like 3 people right in front of me just stopped. They just stopped. And it wasn't easy to get around them. And I was gasping for breath. And I thought I was going to die. And I stopped. And I was like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm just going to walk for a tiny bit, and then I'll start running again. Guys, I probably walked 50 feet, and the top was right there. Guys, it killed me that I walked. Just because of the principle. Just because I just wanted to run it. Who cut in on you? Paul says. You were running a good race. What happened? What happened? Don't let it happen. Follow God with your heart. Guys, I'm excited to say I got to the top of that hill and I started running again. And yeah, a lot of it was downhill. But I've never run 6.2 miles in my life. I quite possibly might never do it again. But I ran the rest of the way. And I will tell you guys one thing. Follow God with all of your heart. Because in the same way that I was discouraged by people stopping in front of me, I got near the end. And for you guys that know, Christ Fellowship worship team, some incantation of such, has played at the Butte to Butte for the last, 3 or 4 years? 3 years? And when I got close to where I knew they were, I had my headphones in, because I like running with music, because I don't like hearing other people laugh at me as they pass me. Guys, I got close to where I knew they were, and you know what happened? I took out my earphones, because I knew I was going to be able to hear that music. I started running faster. I started running better. And then I was like, I better be careful or I'm going to pass out right in front of them. Guys, as I passed them, I hear Amy Jones in the distance yell, "There's Matt!" And I felt like a huge dork, but I was so excited And I kept running. Guys, that is the difference between letting someone cut in on you on the race and running the course that is marked out before you. Being encouraged by the love that Christ has for us. That He died that we might have life with Him. Don't let anybody cut in on you. And so we need to live by the Spirit. We need to live by the Spirit of God. And guys, something happens when we live by the Spirit of God. It all changes. Some of you guys know how I drive. Thank you. I think I'm a decent driver. I like going fast. I love going fast. One of my pictures of heaven is like roads where I can drive as fast as I want because I just think it's fun. When I was in high school, I had friends telling on me. I'm like, come on! What kind of friend tells your parents that you're driving bad or you're driving fast? But I did. I had people calling my parents. I don't know, still to this day don't know who they were. And I'd come home and my mom would say, so-and-so said you're driving 75 and a 30. I'm like, no, who told you that? Well, it doesn't matter. I just know you were doing it. Guys, I was a lawbreaker by speeding. And I was terrified of cops because I was a lawbreaker. And I knew if I got caught, I would get a ticket. And so I didn't like cops. There was a time, and I'm going to try to make this really fast. I was driving home, and we had a residential street that came down and wove through this subdivision. And I was going 75 miles an hour. It's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. I was not being a good driver. And I'm listening to my music. I have my music all the way up. I have my windows down. It's Texas. It's hot, and I didn't have air conditioning. And I hear this, stop! And I'm like, great. I'm in so much trouble. And I stop. And I turn down my radio. And I sit there. And I'm looking around, waiting. Yeah, they're big knobs back then. And I'm waiting for some homeowner to come out, rip me out of the car, and do what I deserve and kill me. And I stop for a second and I'm like, nobody's around. And I wait and I start thinking about it and I'm like, there's no way I could hear anybody. My stereo was turned all the way up and yeah, it's not a great stereo, but it was all the way up. There's no way I could have heard a single person. I'm like, man, that was weird. And so it was weird. And I start driving away, and we have lots of little cul-de-sacs along that road. And I go another block and a half, maybe 2 blocks. There are 3 cop cars sitting inside of that cul-de-sac. I was a lawbreaker, and I deserved a really bad ticket. I don't know what the laws exactly are like here, but I know in Texas, if you double the speed limit, you're driving with intent to kill, and you can be taken to jail. I deserve to go to jail. I deserved to be punished. But Paul says we have been set free. Our lives we live are by grace. It's not by the things you do. It's not by following every last deal and not having a heart. It is having a heart and following Christ. And later in chapter 5 of Galatians, if you're still there, turn to it, please.